Hi everybody, this is a new video to show you how to take to Design Space a couple of new SVG files sold together in one bundle which enable you to make this beautiful bookshelf advent. It's a 3-shelf one, different to the 2-shelf one that's already out there. The books are not as big as they are in the 2-shelf one, but they're still plenty big enough for little gifts, I think. And in this bundle you get this, the red one, which is slightly wider, as you can see, and then the black one, which is the narrower bookshelf. Let's move along a bit. So the red one will take 24 of the wider books that come in this bundle. And for this particular one, I've made it a print then cut project as well. So you get all the PNGs for the little book spines here, and for that a decorative panel on that top box. Each of the bookshelves comes with, I'll just zoom on a bit, this little individual box that goes on top. So you could make that as box number 25 if you wanted. I know we shouldn't really have a 25th box in an advent calendar, but because there was that space on top of the shelf and it's not really big enough to decorate because these are narrower shelves, I thought I'd make a little extra box to go on top. So you get the file for the front of the box, and then you get a PNG file for a book spine like that, which can go on the actual solid box. Lots of opportunities for your own personalization with this. You could not use the spine, you could make the whole cover your own print then cut if you wanted, or you could just use the PNGs on the whole box, not just a spine, and save paper that way. Lots of dimensions there. These will be on the Etsy listing, these pictures, which tell you how big the tuck-in boxes are, so you can decide whether or not they'll work for the gift you're giving away. There's that top box that I just talked about, and that's what it looks like open. Ties up nice and easily with a piece of ribbon. And there's the narrower bookshelf, and for this one it's decorated with some holly, which I've made in vinyl, and that wording on the top box there. You get the files to cut everything you see there. So you've got the files to cut the little sort of like you see sometimes on book collections, you've got these little bands of stamped gold foil, which they're not, obviously. They're in mine they're vinyl, but the idea is that they look like the gold foiled books, and the numbers in between them, obviously. If we can zoom in there, you can see the design close up. There are the bookshelves. These are narrower books, obviously, because this is a narrower shelf, so it just depends how big your little gifts are that you want to give, or how much paper you've got to put into the project. They are quite paper hungry, these advents, but then of course they're reusable. The idea is that you won't use this once and throw it away. You'll bring it out year after year, and who knows how long it could last. Could last forever with a bit of care. So there's the top box for this one, and again you get the vinyl to cut that little bit of decoration on the front. But the nice thing about this project is, because I often get asked for 30-day countdowns for different occasions, so if you use the narrower book on the wider shelf, you can have a 30-day countdown. So you've got 3 options with this, really. You can have a 30-day countdown, decorate it any way you want to by using the narrow books on the wider shelf. And then you've also got this narrow book with 24 small books in it, and then the slightly wider bookshelf with 24 wider books in it, which can be a print then cut project if you want. I mean, the narrow one could as well. You just have to make your own, although I think you could use those actually and just not put the score lines in. Yeah, you could use those PNGs because the height is the same. The height of the books is the same. The only thing that changes is the actual width of them. So yeah, you could actually use those print then cut spine artworks on the narrower books as well. I think. I'm not sure if they might sort of wrap around the edges though. Anyway, you could have a look and see if they would work. Right, within this download, of course, as always, you get the SVG files, which can be used by lots of us. You also get Studio 3 files, which can be used by people who use the free basic version of Silhouette Studio, who can't use SVGs. And I also supply this for scan and cut users, and you get a folder with all the pieces of the SVG in it separate with a size guide, so you can use those in the online app. I also do supply it in a Canvas workspace format file where everything is in one one file, one file. All the pieces of the project are in one file. But it's massive, of course. But I have resized it and the scores are already converted to dash lines. But you do need the downloaded version of Canvas Workspace to use that file. So now, I started with the last bookshelf advent I did. I also supply individual SVGs of all the pieces with a size guide. So if you're using the online app, you can cut this as well. Right, but this video is for Design Space users because we have to do something with scores and sometimes that throws people off. So we'll just very quickly look at how to take it through Design Space. And I do talk about other little layout tips sometimes for cutting, and which might help you whichever machine you're working on. So it might help you to watch it anyway. And certainly if you're watching this before you buy, it'll help you see how the calendar goes together, how to understand it, so you can decide whether or not it's for you. So I'll just go back. I'll create a new canvas. Oh, and before I start, just because there are so many updates lately, I want to show you that I'm on version 9.36.91 and I can check for updates. No update available. So I'm on the newest, latest live version there is at the moment. There might be another one on beta, but I'm not there. Okay, so to bring it in, we click upload, upload image. I click browse here because I've always got it on the full window, and then you navigate to wherever on your system you've got the file saved. And we'll bring in the wider bookshelf to start with, which looks like that. Nothing to do, so just keep clicking the upload or continue button in the bottom right hand corner. We'll close that off. And another little thing that's happening at the moment, which I don't seem to be able to do anything about, is some scores are coming in white. I don't know why. They are there. If we zoom right in, you can see them just about. I can't change it. I'm not doing anything different with my SVGs. I'm making them in exactly the same way. I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong, or I don't know if it's a deliberate change on Design Space's part, but when they come in, sometimes, not with all of them, just sometimes, they look white. But don't worry, because it all looks okay once we've converted them. So it lands on your canvas already selected. First thing you need to do is ungroup it. Ungroup, for me, is at the top of the layers panel. You can also just right click on it and ungroup as well. That lets you see the two groups inside, and in my SVGs, that top group is where the lines that need converting to score live. So you're just going to select that top group, go to your operations menu, choose score from the drop down, and you can see that they look okay now. And because there's more than one set, we need to ungroup those again. So just click ungroup again, then select that group underneath, which is where all the cut pieces live. All we need to do there is ungroup. So now everything on canvas is a separate piece. Those little warning symbols have disappeared because now nothing is too big to cut. So just now select one piece and its score lines, and the quickest way to do that, click on canvas somewhere near it, drag a box to enclose it, and attach, which is at the bottom of the layers panel here, or I'm on the PC, so I can just select it and go Alt A on my keyboard. It's a little bit quicker. Just saves me moving my mouse around as much, but all I'm doing is selecting a set of scores and one individual piece and attaching. And that's really quick. Those are all the pieces you need to make the bookshelf. I'm not going to save it. As I mentioned, it can be cut from tabloid or A3. But for either of them, you do need 8 pieces. There's quite a lot of waste, though, on the shelf pieces. So save those offcuts, because you'll be able to cut some books from those. Whichever size you're making, you'll be able to get at least, I would think, 2 books out of there. So don't throw your offcuts away. And you'll get some as well if you're cutting it. If you're making it all in red like I did, you'll get a couple down the side of there as well. Let's have a look. 18 to 29. Yes, you will. So don't throw your offcuts away. It seems wasteful, but it's not, because the pieces you're left with are big enough to cut other things from. I'm not going to cut it, so I'm just going to press cancel. So that's the wider bookshelf. I'm not going to cut it, so we'll just get rid of those. I'm just looking at my shelf. What am I going to show you next? Right, we'll bring the book in for the wider bookshelf now. So again, upload, browse, and we're going wider book with tuck-in box. In the file you get the actual book and the little tuck-in that slips inside it, and you also get the numbers that you can decorate the spine with if you want to. So again, nothing to do, just keep pressing that green continue and upload button. This is a much smaller file, so we'll just zoom in a bit. Again, we've got some black scores and some white scores. Don't know why. Don't worry about it though, it'll all be okay when you've converted them. So it lands on your canvas already selected. First thing you do is ungroup it. And then just as before, you're going to choose that top group, go to your operations menu, convert it to score, and because there's more than one set, we've got to ungroup it. Then select the group below, and all we do there is ungroup. Those are all the cut pieces. And then we need to attach the scores, sorry. So we're going to drag a box around one piece and its scores and attach. Or if you're like me on the PC, just use Alt-A. Can you also see, it's just inexplicable, the tiny little lines that make the thing that snaps the lid in place, they're also showing as white. I didn't even know we could bring white lines into Design Space. I'm not making them white in my files, but you watch when we select all that and attach it, it goes black again. So it's all fine. I mean, it's still set as cut in the menu, but somehow it shows as white. No idea why. So those now are all ready to do with whatever we do with. But just in case you're just making a cut file and you're not making the print and cut elements of it, and so you're using perhaps these vinyl numbers to trim your spines with, which is that group there. At the moment, they're set out in a big long piece, but if you wanted to cut those on the standard mat, we could ungroup them. And then I'll just select as many as I think will fit on the standard mat. Yeah, so up to number 9, up to number 21 as well. I'm going to attach those. And then I'm going to get the other 3, or the 6, pardon me, numbers and attach those. And then I'm just going to spin those around. Oops-a-daisy. Put those under there. Select that. Yeah. That now, that little bunch of numbers there will cut on the standard mat from a 12 by 12 sheet of vinyl or whatever you're going to do with it. So I'm just going to hide those for now. That's what you would cut if you wanted to use the numbers on just a basic cut file. But now I'll show you how we would handle this if we're going to make this print then cut version here. So for each of the only print and cut element of the book and tuck-in box actually is the spine of the book. So we need to bring in the PNGs that are to decorate the spine with. So upload image, browse, just like we did before. And then there's a folder called PNGs. And then within that there says a PNGs for book spines. So we'll just bring one in, it doesn't matter which. Select it, click open, continue. You don't need to do anything. Don't get rid of any background here. Just apply and continue even though you haven't done anything. And then you're definitely bringing it in as a flat graphic. And we take the size it should be from this piece because that's the piece that we're going to use the scores from. This is if you're making decorative spines like mine. You could also just use it on a plain book, but we'll talk about that in a second. So yes, we're getting the size from here. I'm in centimeters, so I'm going to select this cut spine, look up here in the size menu, and it tells me that that piece is 5.362 centimeters wide. Obviously, if you're in inches, you'll have a different number there. But whatever number you have in that width box, I've got 5.362. You're going to select the PNG and make it that number. As long as the padlock is locked, the height will be set automatically. So I'm just going to duplicate that for a second because I'm going to show you something different in a moment. So this is the way I'm doing it at the moment. Is well, let's just do the spine. I'm getting ahead of myself there. So we're going to select that PNG we just brought in and the cut piece, go to align and center them all like that. And then I'm just going to hide the PNG for a second, both of them. Hang on. I'll just send it to the back actually. Yeah, I'll send it to the back. And then select the cut piece. Detach it is the simplest way to do it. And then select the cut piece and delete it. And then, whoops, select both of those and attach them. I'll just change the colour of the background so you can see what I'm doing. So now you've got your spine there ready to cut and attach to that book. But you don't have to have a separate spine if you don't want one. If I can bring it back in, that's the one I duplicated before. What you could also do is we'll just go to that for now. I'm just going to open up that attachment so I can just select the cut piece and make it white. What you could also do is just select all those, align them centered horizontally, and we'll center vertically. And then the score lines, I want those on top if I can get them. Yeah, I'm going to have to detach that actually. Because I want the scores on top. Yeah, so all I did was I selected the scores, and with my keyboard I did arrange, bring to front. That's all I did then. So you could then, let's just make sure that's a print and cut. I think it would change anyway if I flattened it, but so we select all that. Oh no, we can't select the scores, pardon me. I'll just hide the scores for a second. I'm selecting the cut piece and the PNG, and I'm flattening it. And then I'll bring the scores back there, and then we select both of those and attach them. So you don't have to have a separate spine if you don't want to. I wanted that look of a little sort of bound book where sometimes you can see they've got a little cloth spine on them. I was sort of trying to create that look, but you don't have to if you want to save paper. 24 of those wider book spines takes about a sheet and a half of A3 or tabloid. So if you want to save that, or if you can't print on that, or whatever, you can print them on A4, it doesn't matter, but you'll be looking at 6 sheets of A4 or letter. So if you want to save that spine paper, then just make it the whole cover like we did there. Just for now though, in fact no, we'll just get rid of those. So I've just shown you how to make the solid colour. Sorry, I'm not really with it, am I, this morning? I hope you're following on to this. I think I'm being a little bit vague. I'm just going to bring that file back in, if my system will let me see it. There we go. Sound a bit beaten now, don't I? I just want that one piece back in. I'm going to ungroup it. Ungroup that. Don't want those. Ungroup that. Don't want those. Don't want that. I want that to be the score. Yeah, and then I'm going to attach those. Right. Back to where we were originally before I showed you a different way of doing the decorative print and cut. So this is how I made it for my red one. With, we're going to say that that's red. It doesn't matter whether it is or not, but we can just make it red if you want, and then we know what we're talking about. So I made my book covers red with a white spine, and my tuck-ins were, there it is, white. Okay, so obviously you would have 24 of those in different images. I'm not going to bring in 24 different PNGs. We'll be here all day. I'm going to get rid of the numbers because for the project I'm showing you, we won't cut those. But we will have 24 of these. They'll all be different for yours, but I'm not going to cut 24 different ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 24. Right, I've got 24 of those there. All I did was I just duplicated them. And then I want to show you. So let's just make 6 of each of these. I want to show you something that happens. So no, we'll do 6 of those in fact. These are the book covers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just hitting Control D on my keyboard there to duplicate them. and these will do 4, 2, 3, 4, because I want to show you what happens. So you can cut these on A4 or letter, or indeed tabloid or A3. I tend to cut, I work on A3 all the time. I only use the long mat most of the time, just because I find A3 is a more economical cut, and as you can imagine, doing what I do, I cut a lot of paper. So if you were making the, you'd have 24 different ones, obviously. You can choose A4, in which case you'd need 4 sheets of A4 for the little spines. You can choose letter, in which case you'd need 3 because it's a little bit wider. You've got that extra width to work with, so that's nice. You can choose A3, in which case you'd need a sheet and a half, and you can use tabloid. I like it when the US and the European sizes work for everything. And for tabloid, you'd also need a sheet and a half for the print and cut. But I wanted to show you what happens if you use A3 like I do. Well, let's just choose, you see, I think A4 it'll be happy with. It'll give us 2 on an A4, which is nice. But if we choose A3 for the tuck-ins, it only puts 3 on. And if we choose A4 for the little book covers, it puts 3 on. So that's absolutely fine. But if, like me, you're cutting from A3, it only puts 5 on, and it leaves, in fact, it only puts 4 on, and it leaves 2 on another sheet. So I just want to show you a quick work around that if you happen to work on A3 like I do. Let's zoom in, then we can see what we're doing. So you're going to put 1, 2, 3. Let's get rid of that one and that one. 3 like that, roughly. And we're going to select those 3, center them horizontally, distribute them vertically, just so they're nicely spaced apart. And then we'll duplicate those. Those 4 I'm going to attach in that formation. And then one of these I'm going to spin it. I'm holding the shift key down so it snaps straight up. Get rid of that. Duplicate that one. And if I attach those now, you'll get 6 from an A3. You wouldn't get, I don't think. That's interesting, actually. Don't think. Oh yeah, let's just attach that. I want to see if we can get 3 from an A4. Oh, we did before, didn't we? Yeah, it just gave you 3 on an A4. This is just the A3 layout we're quibbling about. Yeah, so if you want to cut it on A3 like I did, use a layout like that. And for your tuck-ins, we saw that it happily did 2 on an A4, but only 3 on an A3. So all you will do there is you'll just lay your boxes out like so. Just check that you know that that dimension will fit on an A3, which it will. And then we've got 4 boxes there, so we need 6. 6 fours are 24, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just doing Control D on my keyboard there. And we've got 6 on each sheet of these. So if I duplicate each of those, we'd have 4 lots of 6, which is 24. So now if I make it, we can actually get a glimpse of the huge amount of paper we do need to cut this calendar. But I want to stress it is supposed to be reusable calendar, so 12 sheets of A3 or tabloid. I think even that arrangement I just did there, yes, it will also fit on tabloid. So that's nice. This is a very accommodating little advent calendar, isn't it? I love it when the sizes work for European and US. But yes, so to cut that project there, the wider bookshelf with the print then cut version of it, you need, how many was it? 12 sheets of A3 or tabloid. I'm not going to cut it, so I'm going to press cancel. Let me have a look at my list. Yes, we need to look at the little top box now. So back to upload, browse, cut files. Wider bookshelf top box is the little box on top. That's what it looks like. Just zoom in a bit. We're back to our white scores again. I mean, I don't mind it really, because it means if you bring in a file that's black, you can actually see your score lines. Maybe that's why they've done it. Maybe it's a real thing. Anyway, we'll see what we're with the next update. So it lands on your canvas already selected. Just ungroup it. Again, select that top group in your layers panel, go to your operations menu, convert it to score, and there's more than one set, so ungroup it, and then just select the group underneath, which is all the cut pieces, and ungroup those, and then select individual pieces and their score and attach. What you could bring in here, if you're using print and cut version like I did, is you'd bring in the little PNG for the front panel. And there isn't a cut file for that, so I need to tell you the size. I actually mention it in the PDF of instructions as well. So this is the little decorative panel. You don't need to do any changes, don't get rid of any background or anything. Just bring it in exactly as it is. Choose flat graphic. It comes in way too big, obviously. If you make it, and don't worry, you don't need to remember this, but you need to make it 21.2 in centimeters, and I do give that dimension in inches in the PDF of instructions, so don't worry, you do get that bit of information. But you probably could eyeball it because it's going to go here. Whoops. It goes there on that face of the box, so you could, if you can't find that dimension anywhere and you can't remember what I said, you can just delete it down. Sorry, reduce it down. Goodness me, it's been a long week. It's Friday morning. Reduce it down so that it fits within that box face there. So now if we hit make it, that obviously, that tiny piece there, you could cut it on letter or A4. And this here, you could use 12 by 12 for this. You're probably going to match your bookshelf with it, but if you're not, this would cut from 12 by 12, 2 sheets, and it will obviously also cut from tabloid. And there's no way you need, would that not go? Yeah. Does that fit? I'm pretty sure it does fit on tabloid. Let me just try that again. I might not need to. Oh yeah. I rotated it, didn't I? But it does look as if it's behaving weirdly. Let's just try that, how they had it. Yeah, you can get it all on one anyway. That's strange, isn't it? But yeah, 1 sheet of tabloid for the top box, and obviously 1 sheet of A3 would work as well. Right, so that is the whole of the wider bookshelf, and I've shown you the print and cut version, and we've had a bit of a talk about 2 different ways you could do the books with that, either using a separate spine or not. And I showed you, if you're just doing a cut file, I showed you the vinyl numbers that you can use on there as well. Right, so there isn't a lot of new stuff to talk about with the narrower one. I'm going to go back to a white canvas, because there's no print and cut for this narrower one. Where are we? Cut files. Narrower bookshelf. There it is. So as you can see, it looks exactly like the other one. It is just the shelves are not quite as wide. So close that pesky little thing that keeps opening. Again, it lands on your canvas grouped, so just ungroup it. Select the top group in the layers panel, go to your operations menu, convert to score and ungroup those because there's more than one set. Note how that little red warning thing is disappearing as we ungroup. Select the second group, ungroup them. So now everything's separate and we can attach individual pieces to the scores. It's got to be done one by one. If you attach everything together, you definitely won't be able to cut it. So again, you're looking at tabloid or A3 for this. That's nice though. Tabloid, you can get 2 shelves on 1 page. So if you're cutting it from tabloid, 6 sheets. I don't think we have that happy happenstance on A3. No, we don't. If you're cutting it from A3, you need 8 sheets. But again, look at the huge piece you've got left over, you're definitely going to get several book covers or tuck-in boxes from that. So don't keep that card to one side, don't get rid of it. All right, I'm not going to cut it, so that's just exactly the same way as the other shelf in terms of handling the scores and cutting them. So now we'll just bring in the narrower book. And again, it looks exactly the same because you could, if you were just doing a cut file, produce narrower books with a little spine. And I think they would still look great. Obviously, they're just a bit narrower to fit in the narrower bookshelf. Again, we've got our different arrangements of score lines there, but just ungroup it. Select the top group, change to score and ungroup them. Select the cut files and ungroup those. And now you can see with this one, because you can get 30 narrower books onto the wider shelf to make a 30-day countdown, you get the numbers up to 30 with this one. So you can cut those as you see fit, arrange them in lumps to fit on the vinyl that you've got. So that's all I needed to mention really with this, that you do get those extra numbers up to 30 if you want to use them. But you can, of course, just make the 24-day advent with the narrower shelf as well. There it is. Oh, the holly. We'll bring the holly in and have a chat about that. Yeah, that's nothing else new to talk about here. You can do the same. Whoops, we didn't attach them, did we? Yeah, sorry. Just attach the scores. There is quite a lot to think about with this project if you're trying to explain how to use all of it. But if you've got it fixed in your head which one you want to make, it's not as not as scatterbrained as I think I'm making it look this morning. I'm sorry. Right, so that would be ready to cut. Obviously, you'd duplicate. You'd need 24 books, 24 tuck-in boxes. You cut your numbers as you want them and have that or not, just as you wish. So I don't think we need to. We'll just have a quick look, actually, just in case you did want to make a narrow print and cut version. This is not something I thought about before. So let's just bring that little spine picture in. So you'd get your, let's just get the height. So if we just look at the height of that, I'm going to change the colour of the canvas again, just so we can see everything. So I'm just going to zoom in on those bits. So that's the spine for the narrow book. So we're going to get the height this time because that's where the measurements will overlap. So the height of it should be 8. So I'm going to select that PNG and make it 8 tall. And as long as the padlock is locked, the width will be set automatically. And it's still that wider width, you see, for the wider book. But what happens if we'll just come over here. I'm going to detach that. I'm going to make, right, I'm just going to duplicate that because I'll have a look at the spine in a tick. I think it might be too wide, but there could be something we could do there. So I'm just going to make it moved. I'm going to select that, make it white. Then I'm going to bring that over here, but I want the scores to be on top so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm going to select all that now. I'm going to center it horizontally and center it vertically. So you can see that because that PNG is actually set up for the wider book, the design of the PNG is going beyond the score lines. But what you could do is actually just resize it, and you could remember the amount by which you resize it so that your books were all the same. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit short within your spine, but I think it still looks quite nice. So if you wanted to make the narrower books as a print then cut project, this would be the way to do it. Because then all you would do, once you've got that centered or in a place where you think you like the look of it, just select that PNG, which I've got hold of at the moment. Then I'm holding shift down and I'm selecting that actual book cover and I'm going to flatten them. And you can see that the cut line's gone off that book cover now. It's become a print then cut. So then we select the flattened image and the scores and just attach them. So that's something I hadn't thought of really until I came to do this video. But you could make a print then cut version of the narrow books as well by using the PNGs. It's just that, as you can see, to get the right width, they do float within the height of the book a little bit. And if you wanted separate spines on those books as well, I can get this to come over here, we'd do the same thing. So we've got our, yeah, let's detach that. We'll do the same as we did. I'm just going to select the cut piece. I'm going to make it white. I want the scores to be on top so I can see where I am. I'm going to select the PNG and move it around. Select everything. Center it horizontally. And then, select the PNG and the cut piece and flatten them. And you can see the cut line's gone now. It's going to be a print then cut. And select that piece and the scores and attach them. So that's quite nice. You don't have to do that though. The narrow one, originally I thought it was just going to be a cut file, but you could, if you wanted, use the PNGs to make a print then cut narrow bookshelf as well. I don't think the only thing is the top little graphic for the box wouldn't work because the boxes are the same depth but different widths. So you might have to think of something else there. But if you wanted to just do the books, you could do that. Right, I'm not going to go through the cutting thing because I think we showed that with the other one and we don't need to go through that again. I'll just bring in the little top box for the narrow one. We haven't had a look at that yet. Narrower bookshelf top box. Same basic shape as the other one, just narrower obviously. Ungroup it. Select the top group. Convert them to score. Ungroup. Select the group below if I can and ungroup those. So with this one, you see that's got white lines on it. That's very strange. But that is just a cut file. You won't cut it from black and red. You'll cut it from whatever you want. Or you could, maybe you will. But anyway, that's the vinyl that goes there on the box on the front face. And then we'll just attach the scores to these pieces. Whoops a daisy. Woman. There we go. And this is a slightly smaller box. We'll see what we can cut this from. Oops a daisy, I didn't attach. Even though that vinyl's grouped, you do need to attach it. Oh no, we can't do that, can we? Let's just have another think about that. Ah, that might be something I need to change. What did I do then? Attach. Yeah, we'll actually go back so we get the red back. Let me have a look at what we can do there. Must admit, I thought I'd changed that. Let's just try ungrouping it for now. What's that? Right. Oops. So with that one, even though it's grouped, we need to attach it. And then that will cut all in a piece like that. With these, yeah, I'm just trying to think how I did it now. We definitely need to ungroup those because we want these little berries to stay like that. Yeah, that was it. It is ready to go. It's just that you have to do this when it comes in. So the berries are separate and you've only got 3 there for these. I do the strips in a different way. We'll have a look at those in a tech. But those, you could just select all that and attach it. And then that will cut out of one colour and then you'll just cut these separately and you'll pop those onto the box in the right position when you've done it. Yeah, that's that one. I'm glad that happened then. So I'm not going to change it in the SVG. That is how you'll get it and that's how you'll need to handle it. Right, so if we click make it now, yeah, that's all that in the right place and you'll just cut that from the tiniest scrap, whatever you've got, and those from an even tinier scrap. Oh, look, again, we're going to, they are grouped, but they're not attached. So yeah, select both of those and attach them like that. You don't want to be putting individual berries on, do you? So for that one, obviously you need the tiniest piece of vinyl, but it would be nice if they did at least cut in that little arrangement where you're going to put them on your box. The actual box, yeah, it's got to be tabloid or A3 or 12 by 12. I wonder, how big are they? No, you won't get both of those on the 12 by 12, but you will on an A3 or a tabloid. Right, I want to look at the holly that comes in, because obviously that's going to be something different. So, upload. I haven't got that on my little list, but we definitely do need to look at it. I tried to make this as easy to cut as possible because, I mean, lots of you out there will be much more skilled at cutting vinyl than I am. It's not something I do loads. I generally only do it if I'm making presents for people or if I'm putting vinyl on a box like I am here. It's a bit confusing that some of those lines have come in as white, but we'll try and deal with it. So I'm going to ungroup that, and then I want to see what I did was I put all the, yeah, you will need to separate it like that. So the red berries are in groups, and what I would do is move them around like that. You can put them as close together as, no, hang on. Let's stop that. I'm going to duplicate it. The thing that comes in, duplicate the whole thing. And then we're going to make one of them your black set and one of them your red set. That's it. That's easy. So duplicate it from one of them, click on something red, and what happens if I attach there now? It's a bit weird that those lines have stayed white. But when I did it so that we'd got, I wish I could show you it better, but because those lines are staying white, it's a bit tricky. Let's just detach that again for a second. See, if I make those lines score, they'll go black. If I make them basic cut again, they go back to white. That is so weird. Honestly, I have no idea why that's happening, but let's just zoom out again. I'm going to attach all that together, and I'm going to attach the red all together because, and obviously if you look at your red, you're wasting quite a bit of vinyl there, but I just think it's the easiest way to do it because it means your berries are going to be in the right position when you come to place them on. Yeah, they've gone black, but it doesn't matter, does it? Can I make them red? Not that it matters. It's just what you're cutting them from. Look at that. Let's just do something different there. Yeah. So I've just made those green and it's made the lines visible. So can you see what I'm talking about now? I've put little borders around everything so that when you come to weed it, you'll be able to easily get rid of the bigger piece around it, and then you can just take those little strips off, which I personally find it easier to weed vinyl that way. If you don't like it, just get rid of those lines and cut it in a block, but I quite like it that way because, as I say, I don't use vinyl that much and it just helps me cut it. If you don't like this arrangement of the red because it's going to waste too much red for you, then you can split those up and cut them individually and maybe just try and remember to attach the berries at least in that little arrangement, and then you won't have individual berries to stick on. So if I make it, yeah, that's good. Those lines are still there, which is what I wanted them to be. These are, this holly, in case you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, it's the holly that goes on the front of the walls at the face of every shelf. So for those wall pieces, I've made the cut the whole length of the shelf, so there are tall bits, so you do need to cut them on, well, I know your vinyl comes on a roll, but you'd be choosing A3 in terms of the size and how far you want your mat to go in. And obviously if you're using smart vinyl, you'll use something different. Not sure I've explained that as clearly as I wanted to. I don't think I have, but if you do decide to go ahead with this project and you have any issues at all when you come to cut or assemble it, trust me, I do know what I'm doing with it, even though I've been a little bit woolly this morning. Please do ask me anything. I'm always happy to help. You can get in touch via Etsy or Facebook, whichever's easiest for you. The links to do that are in the description beneath this video. And if you've just stumbled across this video and my ramblings haven't put you off wanting to try it, there's a link to the Etsy shop where you can buy the files as well. Don't forget, if you're purchasing 3 or more SVG files at one time from the Tanglecraft Studio Etsy shop, the link is in the description, you can use the 30 for 3 discount code to get 30% off your total purchase. This offer runs all the time, but you need to use that code when you check out. And if you haven't already joined the Tanglecraft Studio Facebook group, join now to get any special Etsy discount codes issued to group members and to take advantage of the free SVG files I give away in the group from time to time. The link to the group is in the description. I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.